There is a motion at the desk.
Clerk will report the motion.
Clerk will report the motion.
Davids moves that Joint Rule 2.06 relating to conference committees be suspended as it relates to House File Number 4385.
I recognize the member from Fillmore, Representative Davids.
Mr. Speaker, that is my motion to suspend the rules so that we don't have to come back here at 1:17.3 a.m.
Discussion to the motion. The Minority Leader from Hennepin, Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is an extraordinary motion. We don't often suspend the rules of the Minnesota House. And while I wish we were suspending the rules to do matters of a very urgent nature, like dealing with the opioid abuse epidemic, or suspending the rules to deal with the elder care abuse in the state, we are agreeing today to suspend the rules so that we aren't doing this work in the middle of the night.
Discussion to the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion prevails. Conference committee reports.
Conference Committee report on House File Number 4385, an act relating to taxation. The report is addressed to the Honorable Kurt L. Doudt, Speaker of the House, the Honorable Michelle L. Fischbach, President of the Senate. We, the undersigned conferees for House File 4385, report that we have agreed upon the items in dispute and recommend as follows. And the Conference Committee report is signed by 4 of the 5 conferees on the part of the House and 5 of the 5 conferees on the part of the Senate. Davids moves that the report of the Conference Committee on House File Number 4385 be adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee.
I recognize the author, Representative Davids, who will explain the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. And Leader Hortman was exactly right. This is an extraordinary motion for an extraordinary conference report. This is the tax bill. I would just like to go through what was changed from the time it left here. We have nonconformity on itemized deductions. That was the position of the Senate and Governor Dayton. We reduced the first rate from 5.35 to 5.25 and the 7.05 rate to 6.85. We removed the automatic sales tax rate reduction provision, the QUIL, that's known as the QUIL decision provision, that when the QUIL decision comes down from the Supreme Court, we could have basically a windfall of funds. The governor had concerns about that. We took that out. We took many of the provisions out that the governor had concerns about. So this is a bill clearly that the governor could sign and should sign. We left the Minneapolis Library Aid in. We left the PCR in place. Slight reduction to the occupation tax. We have some sales tax exemptions that didn't quite make the cut. We did do, I think, 3 fire halls on that. So this is a great bill. It is a masterpiece, as you have heard and as you have agreed to. I will say that I would really like to thank the Senate conferees. I'd like to thank Vice Chair McDonald, Representative Chair Erickson, Representative Hertas, Chair Marquardt, the department for their work, the Senate conferees, and I'd especially like to thank Chair Chamberlain, and I'd like to thank all of our staff, DFL staff, Republican staff, and nonpartisan staff. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I'd stand for questions.
Discussion to the Conference Committee report. The member from Norman, Representative Marquardt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. And I know there's going to be more debate after third reading, but I ask members not to adopt this Conference Committee report. I was a yes when it left the House floor. Even then I was concerned about kind of the lack of benefits to our working Minnesotans and families and senior citizens. And this bill actually is worse in that regard than the one that left the House floor. I think that this conference report shortchanges working Minnesotans, our families, and our senior citizens. So I ask members to vote no on the adoption of the report.
Further discussion? Further discussion? There being no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the Conference Committee report on House File 4385, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by conference.
Third reading, House File Number 4385, as amended by conference.
Third reading as amended by conference. Further discussion? Further discussion. The member from Hennepin, Representative Loeffler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members, and I appreciate that the Conference Committee has done some work, but it isn't that much different than the bill that came before us before. And I think at this point in the session, with just days remaining, I'm disappointed that we haven't seen more movement towards a bill that would reflect the priorities of all and help us get out of this session with a bill that the governor could sign and that addresses the concerns of Minnesotans. And the bill before us walks away from the governor's priority and the priority that we have discussed on the floor of the working family tax credit, which is used by 1 out of 8 households in Minnesota. And in over 37 counties in Minnesota, mostly rural, it's 1 out of 6 households that depend on it. These are the people who earn modest, very modest incomes, many of whom will not benefit from the rate cuts that are in this bill, but who are the main source of income from our local economies. They're the people who are the bread and butters going to our local stores, our local gas stations, who are reinvesting their paycheck in local resources. They're not investing it in foreign tax credit provided investments. They hope someday they can start to really do some serious saving for their retirement, but they may not be able to do it right now. And they're counting on us. If we're going to have a $140 million tax cut bill, to be looking out for them. And instead, they are not even in this bill. Their needs are not addressed with 1 nickel of additional working family tax credit. Something that if you talk to these households, the 1 out of 8, in any block, in any town, any city in Minnesota, if you talk to them what they count on, that refund is really, really important. And some of them it isn't a refund because they're able to adjust their withholding so that they actually have money to make it week by week. And so they come out pretty close. And it is critically important to them in filling out their tax returns that they get that working family tax credit, which has been proven to benefit families, stabilize them, improve school performance, stabilize people with disabilities and seniors so that they're able to stay in their homes. And the research is pretty clear on this over the years. There's less research about the benefits of major cuts to corporate tax rates. We already are seeing in the press what the corporations are doing with the 40% rate cut that they got compliments of the Republican administration in Washington, D.C. And it's some little bonuses and a lot of stock buybacks and, maybe buying some new equipment and, but I haven't seen the wage increases in any ways in the business section or elsewhere hitting the headlines. And so I think that with $140 million in tax cuts, taking half of our surplus, we ought to be able to do more for the people who really are the bread and butter of our communities and who are working hard, not in the fancy jobs, not in the places where you have to worry about, all kinds of fancy investments. It's the people who are just raising their kids, contributing to their community, volunteering for the PTA and the Little League, and doing the kind of things that many of us did in our own communities before we were elected. And I'm just really disappointed that they're left behind. I urge a no vote.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Dabney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Members, let's take a few minutes and walk through how we got here today and check some of the goalposts, some of the roadside signs along the way. We got here because the Republican Congress and the Republican President passed a major tax bill. What did that tax bill prioritize? Permanent tax cuts for American corporations. 40% tax cuts for American corporations, 0 tax cuts, permanent tax cuts for American taxpayers. 40 to 0. Now, Chair Davids, I'll give you some credit. Here, it's only 2 times the tax cut to corporations that we get to the small tax cut for middle-class Minnesotans in this bill. So now let's walk through the bill. It makes it possible for corporations to pay no tax whatsoever. Minnesota corporations contributing nothing to the roads they drive on, the courts they rely on, the police and fire and first responders that they call on. For middle-class Minnesotans, nothing for property tax cuts, even as across the state we see property tax values rising. We talk a lot in this chamber, just in these last couple of days, about our appreciation for Minnesota's first responders, for our fire and police and paramedics. But the bill and this legislature apparently doesn't care enough about those first responders to make sure there's money for a pay raise or money for the life-saving equipment that we ask them to have and use each and every day. For middle-class Minnesota taxpayers, this bill means little. How little? Well, if your family makes more than the median family in the state, so you're doing a little bit better than most of us, this tax bill promises you $1.23 a week. As my dad would say, don't spend it all in one place. But actually, members, I think a lot of Minnesotans would like it all spent in one place. They'd like to see their $1.23 a week and their neighbor's $1.23 a week and the folks down the block's $1.23 a week spent in their kids' schools. Because as we walk along through this bill and its timeline, we also walk along with the children of Minnesota, with our children in our families and with the children across the state. Whether you're pushing that stroller or holding the hand of that preschooler or watching that energetic elementary student, or if you're like me and thousands of families across the state, you're watching that young person walk across a stage and accept a diploma this spring and then walk off into their young adulthood. But as we walk through the bill, we also need to walk through the K-12 finance bill. That bill offers nothing on the general education formula. Tax cuts for corporate America, nothing in the general education formula for Minnesota students. Nothing to support our special education students. Nothing to reduce class sizes. Nothing that puts a ball in an athlete's hand or a piece of music before an aspiring musician. Now, just today, Enbridge, the folks we spent so much time talking about yesterday, won their tax court case against the state. 13 counties are looking at significant losses as a result of that court case. School districts in every one of those 13 counties are looking at significant losses as a result of that court case. And yet this legislature can't seem to get behind the need that Governor Dayton has identified for emergency aid to protect our students' opportunities, to protect our schools. It's a question of priorities. On the federal level, the priority was tax cuts for corporations and nothing for middle-class Americans. We can and should choose differently here. Members, I urge you to vote no on this tax bill, and members, we should hear the voices of Minnesota parents and families and neighbors and teachers and school boards and move forward on emergency aid for all Minnesota school districts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The member from Norman, Representative Marquardt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. And first of all, thank you for allowing me to be on the conference committee. It's an honor, and I appreciate that very much. And as I mentioned before, I voted for this bill as it left the House floor. I had concerns about the amount that the priorities it had for working families and our senior citizens. And unfortunately, this bill went in the wrong direction. It spends more money, but yet provides less tax cuts for our working families and our senior citizens. It's gone the wrong way, and it shortchanges our Minnesotans, our working families, and senior citizens. Just taking a look at the numbers here, the median household income in Minnesota is $66,000. $66,000. If you have a family of four, 2 parents, 2 children, at that $66,000, the bill that left here back on April 30th would have provided $53.50 of tax cuts to that family. The conference report provides $36.40. From $53.50 actually provides less to the median household family, now at $36.40 a year. That's 70 cents a week of relief. Now, Governor Dayton's proposal for this same family on a median household income would be $240 of relief. $240 of relief in Governor Dayton's plan versus about $36.50 of relief in this bill that you have before you. That is a difference of $200 to these families, to these working Minnesotans, to these senior citizens. That is significant. I mean, right now, our families, they're not seeing the huge benefits that others are. And that $200 would be big to them. It could be a matter of 1 week of child care. It could be 1 week of feeding their families at about $200. It could go towards a car repair. How many parents now are paying extra fees for their children to be in sports or extracurricular activities? $200 would go a ways for that. It could provide for about $2,000 worth, 2,000 miles worth of gas for a family. It's significant. And when you look at a nonpartisan House modeling, while those who make $50,000 or less represent about 40% of the filers, they only get about 8% of the benefits here. So unfortunately, this bill really shortchanges our working Minnesotans and our working families and our seniors who really need it the most. And we've talked about this before. The federal tax bill that is the reason why we're here today, which was put upon us by the federal government and our president, provides some relief for working families, but it evaporates in a short period of time. I want to go over these numbers again. According to the Joint Committee on Taxation, if you're earning $30,000 or less, by 2021, you're going to start seeing increases on the federal side. If you're making $40,000 or less, by 2025, you're going to see tax increases. And by 2027, families making $75,000 or less are going to see tax increases. Our working families, Minnesotans, and senior citizens do not see these huge benefits in the federal bill. We have to create a win for our working families, and this bill simply does not do that. So, members, I know this is part of a process, but Governor Dayton has really laid it out that the people around this state who really need the relief, they really need the help, is our working Minnesotans and our families and our senior citizens. And there are better ways to target, as the governor does with credits, the working family credit, than giving a general rate decrease. That doesn't get to these people in a targeted manner. So, members, I urge you to vote no on this bill. This is part of the process. This is the House and Senate position. Of course, the process also requires the executive branch to weigh in. And until you have really deliberate and earnest negotiations between the legislative branch and the governor, you really don't have a fair plan. So the key is we have to do something. If nothing gets done this year, if we don't get a tax bill complete, 300,000 Minnesotans will see a tax increase. We'll see a tax increase. And if we don't include and go through the process and include Governor Dayton in on the deliberations, it puts this bill in peril. And if we don't get a tax bill passed, the 300,000 Minnesotans around this state aren't going to care who wins on the blame game. We're all at fault. We're all to blame, and Minnesotans will suffer because of that. So I think the best way to get out of this and to get a good tax bill, and Chair Davids, I and the rest of the DFL are here to help you with that process as we move that along, working with you and Governor Dayton and the Senate, is let's make sure we can create a win for our working families and our senior citizens around this state. That would be a tax bill we could be proud of. That would be a tax bill that would help Minnesotans. That would be a tax bill that would help our economy and our quality of life. Members, let's vote no today, and then let's continue the process to get a bill that is a win for all of Minnesota.
The member from Fillmore, Chair Davids.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. And I do want to especially thank Chair Marquardt for his help on this bill. But one of the comments you made, you said we need a tax bill that takes care of things, basically, paraphrasing, and that's what this bill does. That's what this bill does. This bill allows the Department of Revenue to be able to administer the tax code. That's very important. 99.8% of Minnesotans, no tax increase. None. No tax increase. I didn't believe we'd be able to get to that number, but we did. This is a great tax bill. It's so great I can hardly believe it. But I would have to say just to my good friend from Hennepin, Chair Dabney, we lost the Enbridge case. The state did. The schools will not be affected by that. The counties and towns will, but not the cities and the school districts. So we're good on that one. So members, vote green. Just remember, you'll never feel bad for doing the right thing. Vote green. In wrapping it up.
The Minority Leader from Hennepin, Representative Hortman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for a call of the House.
Call House being requested. I see tens. Call the House will be. Seeing 10 hands, the clerk will take the roll. The clerk will call the absent member.
Garofalo. 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 Oh, well. There he is. Garofalo. Garofalo. Garofalo.
Clerk will close the roll. Further discussion? There being no further discussion, the clerk will take. Now there being no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. House is under call. Members, please vote. Clerk will close the roll. There being 78 ayes and 50 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by conference and its title agreed to.